It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He believes that building a community is a must for any online business to succeed. Pat Flynn.
All right, it's the 3rd week of the month and also year, so I hope your year's off to a great start. I wanted to share with you because this is the time of year that I like to start thinking about the books that I'm going to consume, and I like to consume 1 or 2 books per quarter. I know there's some people out there, you might be one of them, and if so, that's okay, that likes to consume like a book per week. But, for me with books, and, this is actually a theme of my upcoming book that I'm actually in the middle of writing right now. How are you taking action on those things, right? Are we just reading for entertainment, or are we reading to actually implement, right? So this is going to be a list of 2 books that I want to share with you that I've already read, that I want to share with you because I want you to add them to your list if you haven't already. And if you've read these already, one of them I'm pretty sure you haven't read, but the other one perhaps you have. I have recommended it before. If you aren't yet practicing the principles of that book, then I definitely want you to reconsider. So these are 2 books that I want you to read this year, sometime this year, earlier the better, of course. And again, the whole thing for me being just 1 or 2 books per quarter is to allow myself time to absorb that information and actually use it. I practice what's called just-in-time learning. That is only allowing myself to learn about the things that I'm focusing on and that are next on my to-do list, essentially. And yes, there are a million other things that you could learn, but then you're going to suffer from content bloat and not also have the time to implement anything because you're always in learning mode. You got to implement, right? So book number 1 here that I want to recommend to you is a book that my mentor and one of my coaches, James Schramko, recommended to me, and it's titled Tiny Thunder. It's written by Sue Rice, and to essentially share with you how amazing this book is, I'm just going to read the tagline for you. And this is a book to help you if you are a copywriter, blogger, podcaster, YouTuber, whatever it is. Once I read this subtitle to you, you're going to get it, right? So here's the title one more time, followed by the tagline. Tiny Thunder, Irresistible Messaging for an Overwhelmed World. Bam! I love that. That is so good. How could you not want to read that? And so, I mean, it only has 24 ratings on Amazon. It's one of those books that hasn't taken off yet, but my mentor, James, shared it with me and I read it and it's fantastic. And the basic thesis of the book is that, part 1 is like, communication is broken down between people, right? Things that have been built to hopefully bring us closer together have actually pushed us further apart. We all feel this, right, with social media. And it goes into a lot of the how-to of that and why and all that kind of stuff. And that's less important than what the answer is to that, or the solution. And the solution is teaching through analogies and why that works and how this has to be the way moving forward. Hence, tiny thunder. You can create some little noise out there that can make a big difference. Tiny thunder. And again, like you look at the cover, you're like, why is there a horse on there? You'll find out. But Sue Rice has done a really good job here. And just that premise of let's teach through analogies is great. It really helps a person understand. It's a certain form of communication through analogy. So I'm not going to share too much more because I want you to check that book out. It's not super long. If you're listening to it or reading it, I got mine on Audible, and Sue herself is the narrator too. So thank you to James for that recommendation. Really, really important, right? Just even if it's not that book, the idea of focusing on getting your message across, right? What are we trying to do? This is the next task. We need to get our messages heard. So let's learn about that, right? And there are many other books to do that. I would even throw in my book, Superfans. If you haven't read it, I hope that you would check it out. And it's a way for you to build fans today, right? And build a community, which is obviously what we at SPI are focusing on right now. And it was a book that was written for a future that I knew was coming. Today, building relationships with your audience to a point where they know you, they love you, they talk about you, they will support you no matter what happens with the technology is really, really important. That's how to future-proof your brand. But how to get your message out there? Irresistible Messaging for an Overwhelmed World. Tiny Thunder by Sue Rice. All right, the second book, the one that I've mentioned before, that I'm going to mention again because it just continues to come up in coaching calls that I have with some of my students, in mastermind meetings with even some of my colleagues, and that is Rocket Fuel. Rocket Fuel is a book that was written by Gino Wickman. He has actually been on the show before in session 465, so a couple hundred ago. So that would be a few years back, in fact. And he was talking about his new book, Entrepreneurial Leap, which is great. And we discuss, taking that leap. But after you take that leap, this is where his book that he had previously written really comes into play. And it's helped me. It's helped my team. It's helped everybody who I've shared it with. And people have shared it with me. And that is Rocket Fuel. And Rocket Fuel, the idea behind it is that as an entrepreneur, you need to understand the partnership or the dichotomy of the two types of people that it might take to run a business. And no, you don't need to find this partner or person or other half right away, but eventually, especially as you start to scale and grow, and I can speak to this from firsthand experience, that you need a integrator if you are more of a visionary type of person. This is the dichotomy or the partnership or the dual part of a successful business. You have the visionary part of the brand, the person who's typically the person who starts it because it was their idea. They have those big, bold ideas, that excitement. They have big plans. They don't necessarily know how to plan those things. They're not necessarily project managers. They're not in the weeds of the people and the forces needed to put that together. They're just like, big vision, go. And if you are a visionary type of person, which many entrepreneurs are, I am in that category as well, then it can be very difficult because you have these big visions, but you don't have somebody to help you implement them. A right-hand person to almost be behind the scenes to put those puzzle pieces together for you, right? And when you try to do all those things yourself, oftentimes what happens is because you are not that type of person, your big ideas don't move forward, and then you just kind of are a dreamer and you're not succeeding. And we want to go from dreamer to, there's a rhyming word in there that I can't find, but to somebody who's actually achieving. A dreamer to achiever. Maybe not. I'm just trying it. It's not working right now though. And then the other side is the integrator, right? The visionary needs an integrator. And an integrator is that person who is much more difficult to find. They're not a rare breed, if you will, but there's definitely a lot more visionaries than there are integrators. But the integrators are out there. I have one on my team. In fact, I have many, but one of them is Matt, our now CEO of SPI Media. And this relationship started back in 2013. And I always knew that we had this type of relationship, and this is why he and I got along so well because we were able to fill each other's gaps. I had the visions, he had the ability to create, and that's what he loved to do. And he's in the spreadsheets, he's project managing, he's actually the one putting those things together and making those decisions. And yes, I'm there to help guide based on the vision, based on the goal, right? And that's not to say there aren't people who have both qualities. There are probably people, and in fact, most people probably have both qualities one way or another, but it's often skewed to one way more than the other. So for me, I would say 90% visionary, 10% integrator. I will integrate when I need to, but especially today in the way that the business is built, I'm way heavily visionary and more creative. I'm the talent, if you will. Again, not to discredit the team. They're all talented in their different ways, but I'm the on-camera talent, if you will. And then Matt and a lot of the team, they're the ones behind the scenes putting things together. They're the integrator, and that is so important. But Matt also has a lot of vision as well, and we talk about that, and this is why we've started to work together to do a lot of advisory work. And this is why Matt and Pat are a perfect team for companies to hire as an advisor or as super advisors, because we both complement each other in that regard, but understand the other side too. So anyway, this book, Rocket Fuel, definitely recommend listening or reading it for sure. Gino's done a great job of outlining what that relationship is like. It's a big eye-opener for a lot of people who read it, and they're like, oh, this is why I can't get anything done, because I don't have anybody to help me get anything done. Or maybe you're an integrator more and you read it and you're like, oh, this is why my ideas aren't actually landing, because I'm building solutions, but they aren't solutions that are big enough to make some noise, right? So this is, again, the perfect marriage of two people who help to run a business, and this book will help you learn about that, find that other half, and be able to work with them, because it is, visionaries working with visionaries, it's understandable, but it's a different kind of language to work with an integrator. Other words used for integrator that may be more findable, if you will, are online business manager. OBM is one of those words. And that is somebody that's what they're putting on a resume, for example, is online business manager. And then that person obviously can grow into the business. And like Matt, he's now CEO of the company, which is amazing. And he owns shares of it as well. So I hope that this particular episode has helped you at least get a head start on your book reading list for the year. And again, I don't want you to read too much. This book that I'm writing, right, it's kind of an interesting thing because I have to balance a very fine line between like, don't learn. I'm not telling you not to learn. I'm telling you to learn about the right things and then give yourself time to implement them, or else you'll barf with all the content that's coming in, right? It's like a stomach. There's just not enough room for all that, even though you think there might be. I appreciate you. I want to wish you, again, probably one of the last times I'm saying this year, but it's still January of 2023, and we're going to rock it. We're going to do amazing work. We're going to do amazing work together. Speaking of together, if you want to join up with other people who are just like you in a community and going through content and through information and getting accountability and getting access to my team as well, highly recommend checking out the All Access Pass. smartpassiveincome.com/all access. Check it out there. Hundreds of people working through stuff right now together. So much easier to do together. Science proves it, and I hope that you'll give it a chance. smartpassiveincome.com/all access. Cheers, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at smartpassiveincome.com. I'm your host, Pat Flynn. Our senior producer is David Grabowski. Our series producer is Paul Gregoris. And our executive producer is Matt Gartland. Sound editing by Duncan Brown. The Smart Passive Income Podcast is a production of SPI Media. We'll catch you in the next session. Hey, fellow podcaster, does this sound like something you've experienced? You record your podcast episode on one platform, download the files, edit in another app, then fire up a different tool just to create these social clips? Well, it can be clunky, time-consuming, and frankly overwhelming, especially for creators trying to grow. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Riverside. Riverside is the all-in-one platform. Record, edit, and repurpose your podcast content all in one place. You just log in, record with your guests no matter where you are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video. We use Riverside here at SPI as well now. With built-in AI, I can automatically clean up my audio, saving myself so much editing time, and it can even auto-generate clips to make promoting the show a breeze. And with Magic Clips, I can grab the best moments and repurpose them as short form video, perfect for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Instagram without re-recording a thing. So if you're tired of juggling tools and want a faster, simpler way to create and scale your content, it's time to try Riverside, built by creators for creators. Just go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. I get it. You want to grow your business, but selling at scale feels overwhelming. You're drowning in complicated funnels, creating different lead magnets, or constantly posting on social media. And that gets exhausting fast, especially when you're trying to sell to hundreds or thousands of people. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? A score app quiz or assessment asks your audience key questions and gives them instant personalized results based on their answers. Your audience gets to know where they are now and shows them the steps they need to hit their goals. You can set up a quiz in minutes using Score App's templates and have a powerful lead magnet that'll do the selling for you. The best part is your audience actually wants to take this quiz, and you build huge amounts of trust before you even make a single offer. No hard sales, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. Just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI.